Until sentenced, the name, face and information of the accused should not be released publicly. This way anyone falsely accused does not get their name dragged through the sand until they have been convicted. We have made it too easy to destroy people's lives on false accusations. I believe protecting the innocent is just as important as prosecuting the guilty. The only downside would be if someone had evidence on the accused, but this could also be found as a part of the investigation process. So maybe a better definition if the initial hearing is not dismissed and the judge wants to pursue the case further. I just don't think it's fair to lose your job over something that's dismissed in 5 minutes in court because that's all someone with a false accusation wants. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Edit. It seems the general consensus is that we all hate to see innocent people's lives ruined. Thank you for restoring my faith in humanity a little. Edit. The main counter-argument, in my own words, the government can abuse this by silently incarcerating and sentencing people, and it has been written into law, U.S., to release a public record of these events. So my main problem with this argument is firstly I was referring to protecting innocent people from a false accusation, not from a tyrannical government. If you are being targeted by a tyrannical government, I don't think you really care about slander and being cancelled. However, I did not know the reason behind this legislation, in the US, so I appreciate the info. What we should really define is at what point during the legal process does a public record get released? What forms of evidence are needed? Obviously video footage over word of mouth. The whole point of the legal system is you really can't trust people to tell the truth, doesn't matter because until you catch them in a lie you can't tell the difference. Can the media be sued for slander if they publish articles that corroborate a false accusation without doing enough research? Should they be forced to remove these articles or publicly renounce any false information? These are all questions that came to mind when reading your comments. Again, my main goal is protecting innocent citizens from the horrors of mob justice. Edit. I keep seeing Sweden pop up in my notifications tab. So shout out to Sweden for protecting the innocent. Edit. If this opinion was popular, innocent people wouldn't have their lives ruined by this. I think we all know there is a problem and I am glad this post can foster discussion on the matter. Edit. Guys, I said innocent people, not celebrities. /s honestly, this doesn't really apply the same to someone who made a fortune based on their fame, since they are probably not employed anyways. In Germany they only give out the first name and first letter of the last name. For instance, Robert K. is being accused of this and that crime. I think this is pretty smart, so you still get some information but not all of it, which makes it harder to start a witch hunt. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they do this in Ireland. This is actually the norm in many countries. I just keep trying to imagine how on earth Derek Chauvin is ever going to get a fair trial now. Like, good luck finding a jury that hasn't already been influenced by media coverage of the case. Agreed, but also this could lead to people being punished without due process and nobody would know because the details weren't made public. Secret police type shit. Good luck in the age of social media. In the old days there was some privacy simply by the difficulty of gathering and sharing information. Today one person can just sit in a court noting who comes and goes and share it to millions instantly. The problem is our constitution specifically forbids the secrecy. Public trials are public for a reason, too much history with kings having trials in private. The laws were made this way to protect people from the king just tossing people in jail forever without anyone ever knowing why. Today though, it's definitely a problem. Arrest equals conviction in the minds of most, and even if you are eventually acquitted, that will never get the same coverage and everyone will remember your arrest. That's what happens with minors tbh. It's kind of an awesome idea except for the fact that nowadays everyone is connected with phones and social media. So if little Jenny goes missing, everyone is talking about it. If little Jenny's body is found, everyone is talking about it. If Pedo Joe, the guy who lives 3 doors down from little Jenny and is a registered sex offender, is arrested days later, everyone is talking about it. I feel like the identities of them should stay confidential between only the parties involved, accused, accuser, their lawyers, prosecution, and judges. People get jail time, or sometimes even death sentences, but no one gets defamation of character as part of their sentence, so they and their families and close ones don't deserve that. Only exception could be public figures that their crimes affect millions of people, which brings the need for media coverage. If the public cannot see the proceedings, how can they then determine if the proceedings were inherently fair? Let's take the case of a person acquitted of a crime. Under this proposal, the public would never know anything other than his acquittal. Sure, court proceedings are publicly available, but in most cases they aren't all available online. One would have to go into the courthouse to obtain transcripts. But how would we know if the transcripts had been altered? It would become a very real possibility if proceedings weren't public. Public trials aren't perfect, but they are necessary to ensure process is followed. Edit. Removed reference to the affluenza teen who was found guilty but did not receive jail time. Instead, 10-year probation. Come to Germany. Here the name is not even disclosed after sentencing because the bad guy would have such a hard time. The naivete of it was that it became possible to reverse engineer a false accusation from a sentence in court with the more information put out about yourself online. No, the Reddit virtual lynch mob needs someone to throw tomatoes at. This won't work at all. I have always said that the jury should not be able to see the face or name or age of the accused, leaving out any discriminatory factors. Theoretically, protecting the innocent is more important than convicting the guilty. Blackstone's ratio is supposed to be the mindset of the justice system. None of those would be necessary if people weren't such idiots and elites/politicians tried so hard to please the mindless mobs. If people weren't stupid and emotional, they would read and wait for the verdict, or if the elites, media, academia, companies, institutions, weren't submissive to the public, it wouldn't matter what people felt. No company would fire under mere accusations, nor any media would publish misleading articles. Mob mentality is nothing but a herd of mindless, emotion-driven people, and the more I think about this, the more I believe democracy is a mistake. The amount of assumptions and biased witch hunts this world goes through can destroy people to the point of no return. Media is shit right now, and Reddit is slowing getting there. Edit, slowly. It would be nice for the presumption of innocence to make a comeback too. Also, people should not be cancelled for tweets from 5+ years ago. No, this makes sense. People get falsely accused for things and sometimes lose their jobs and college attendance due to accusations. Okay, what if they're looking for a convict? As in a child kidnapper. This isn't always possible. Also, it prevents people from trying to become famous or notorious for a crime or another. Would shorten the lifespan of the news coverage. I would say, and the founding fathers would agree, that protecting the innocent is a lot more important bringing justice to the guilty. What if you are looking for witnesses to come forward? Or if it is a family member or employee who will be absent from work or home due to a trial? If one of the people alerted release the information, what happens? Sounds like a wonderful environment in which police are allowed to make people just disappear. Not a good idea. Okay, but then you have the opposite happen as well. If they didn't publicly release the videos of Derek Chauvin and the McMichael family murdering George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, then justice would not only have never been enacted, no change around America would happen. Everything would be closed-door dealings. Your idea is nice in theory but is completely invalidated by the imperfection inherent in mankind. A few terms come to mind here. You don't get to make an omelette without breaking a few eggs, and my favorite Obama quote ever, better, does not mean, better for all. People's lives will be ruined by blasting them on social media, and people's lives will also be ruined by not blasting things on social media. It's a live by the sword, a die by the sword kind of thing. The only way you can be part of the solution is to either completely disavow all social media or to start working by helping people out in close personal relationships.